Hello everybody. I just came in from the shop, decided to shoot this quick video on what I found out there. I'm currently working on a Briggs and Stratton Intek 20 horsepower, 19.5, 20 horsepower, model number 331777. And stay with me and I'll explain what I found. You might find this intriguing, so stay tuned. All right. So what I found on that Intek is had me stumped. I consulted Henry, and before I go on, I want to say the deepest heartfelt sympathies for Henry and his family with the loss of his brother today. Henry, my heart goes out for you and your family. I know you're going through a lot, and I am very, very sorry to hear that. So. Thank you for the advice, and I appreciate everything you're willing to do. Anytime I ask you something, you're right there. But on another note, I've been messing around with this Briggs and Stratton Intek, I believe 19.5 horsepower, 20 horsepower possibly. So the symptoms were, obviously it was hard to start. You know how they are, especially when the ACR falls out, the automatic compression release, that stupid little thing right there, it falls out every time. I'm having a bad luck with this. This is the second cam in this machine. But the other symptoms were the fact that it would turn over like crazy. I mean, it was just going, trying to start, but it was blowing fuel out of the carburetor, and I mean hard. I mean, you could put your hand over the carburetor, the intake, and it would literally blow your fingers off. So it had just a full compression stroke coming straight up out of the carburetor. So that pointed me to the head gasket. So I thought I'd give that a check. So we've got to take the head off anyway, right? So took the head off. Head gasket was fine. Granted, I had to put a new one on when I put it all back together, but I went ahead and did a valve job, lapped them in, cleaned everything up, cleaned the head, cleaned the top of the piston, cleaned that all up, put that back on there, and it was doing exactly the same thing. Would turn over, it would just turn, just blowing stuff out of the carburetor, would not fire at all. So I removed the intake manifold from the side of the engine, sprayed carb cleaner right in the block, cranked it over and did exactly the same thing, just blew that carb cleaner straight out. I mean, it was not sucking in at all. So I've been perplexed for a few days. These cam lobes on here also, they're pretty bad, but still not enough to make it do what it was doing. Until I did a little bit more detective work. So I went out there and I thought, you know what? What if that thing was out of time, right? So pop the flywheel. Flywheel key looks great. No evidence of sheared flywheel key or anything like that. And so I shut the lights off in the shop, was headed back in here, but then I just had an epiphany. I was like, check that cam gear. So I go back over to the bench, turn the lights on, grab this cam. This is the very cam out of there, right? So I was thinking that the timing was off. It's got to be off, right? Even though the marks lined up when I took this out, came right out, not a problem. So there had to be another issue. So I grabbed this thing by the lobes with one hand, and the gear with the other. See if you can see this. Keep an eye on this slot right here for the oil pump shaft. Can you see that? I don't care if you've been doing this for 40 years, 4 days, or 4 minutes. That ain't supposed to do that. So obviously the ACR let go, and also the the cam gear stripped out on this shaft. So hopefully I answered that question for myself. I don't know if you can see it or not. This lobe right here is nice and round like it should be. It's got a little bit of a dent in it for where that ACR let go right there. But this lobe right here has got a major, you can see it right there. It has a major ridge on it, right? This is hard. Got a major ridge on it right here. I can feel it when I run my finger across there. There's a major ridge right here. So it's getting wore out. You can see some of the wear on it right here. And this has only been in there a season. So, well, that's what you get for aftermarket parts, right? So herein lies another dilemma. So I tell my customer, who's a friend of mine, I was like, hey, I'm going to spend a little extra on a cam this time so we don't have this problem. So I checked everywhere, obviously, as most people, most of us usually do, right? So I found one. Well, I've actually found 10 on the internet for upwards of $100. But however, they're all out of stock. And if you haven't been over to Ken Small Engine's video where he warns everybody about get your parts now because parts are becoming hard to find, well, there you have it. So everybody's out of stock except Amazon. I can get 100 of these from Amazon, and I'm afraid that's what I'm going to have to do this time again. So hopefully we'll cross our fingers. And I've had some good luck with these aftermarket cams in the past, and this is the first one that I've had to double down on. So just be aware. So if anybody wants to leave some comments down there, let me know. This is probably going to be a few more days before I can get a chance to put this back together, because the cam's supposed to be here in a couple days. And we should be, hopefully we'll have a part 2 to this video showing you what I found and the solution with the new cam, because I believe this is the problem. Because there's no way it could be out of time, obviously, unless it's doing this. You might be able to hear that. It's getting worse now because I've spun it a lot, but it was, you could, when I first did it, it just spun right in my hand easy. So anyway, thank you all for being here, and I hope everybody has a great evening, and don't forget, it's donut time.